Rise and shine, sleepyheads. This is Sara Coates, voice of Marguerite Baker, and you're listening to the Resident Evil podcast. Get over here!
That's so creepy. That's so
awesome.
Hello and welcome to the Residents of Evil podcast. Our guest for this interview is the lovely Sara Coates. You've seen Sara as the quirky Serena on Z Nation, but more importantly as Marguerite Baker in Resident Evil 7. Sara is a true fan of the horror genre, and it shows in this interview. Sara was incredibly fun and a gracious guest, and we hope you enjoy this interview as much as we did. With that being said, let's start the show.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Does it sound okay?
Sounds really good.
Yes,
Sounds fine.
Ruben.
Dog sounds good too.
And I apologize, he is a nut. So
That's okay.
Your dog's name is Ruben.
yes!
That's
Oh!
hilarious.
His name is Ruben Wrinkles.
Ruben Wrinkles. I
I
love
gave
it.
him a last name. His first
That's
name is
awesome.
spelled like a sandwich. So
Oh, do you know Ruben Langdon?
no, wait, who is
Okay.
that?
Ruben Langdon is he's been in the games, the character Chris Redfield has been like one of the major characters. He's played Chris Redfield for about 20 years for the motion capture, and
Oh
he's
wow!
heavily a part of Resident Evil and several other Capcom games.
It's funny. I've heard the people where I'm filming or where I was filming talk about him,
Huh.
and I thought they were talking about my dog. I was like, oh, wait, probably not.
That's
But
funny.
yes, I do know of him. I don't know him personally, though. I just looked him up. So
It's a funny coincidence.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. You're awesome.
you are.
That's a good start. Thanks for the compliments.
I do love to give a good compliment. So prepare yourselves.
All right.
I was actually joking with the guys before you got here. I was like, we should have her do the get the fuck out line for the intro.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh, what was great about all that, and we'll probably talk about it, is a lot of the swearing was very improvised
Oh.
because the script was translated from Japanese. And so Naveed, the director, would allow us kind of just to go, and especially in those chaotic moments, he would say, just do whatever comes out. And so a lot of that is in me.
Wow.
It's a little scary. It's a little scary.
Just a little bit.
Tiny bit.
You got a very colorful language there.
Yes.
No.
Impressive
It was just
vocabulary.
boiling down there, and it spilled over, and I love it. So,
It's got to be
prepare
good to like do a game like this where you play a character where you could just let all that out.
oh my god, 100%. The only problem would be like losing my voice a lot during
Oh,
the
yeah.
Right.
The screaming.
yeah
Well,
the voiceover sections. The motion capture sections, they're a little more time staking, so there was like vocal rest between. But when you go in for like 4 hours and you're just like, your notes are, okay, you are turning into a monster, and like stuff completely out of the realm of things I've experienced. Really, like maybe kind of a little bit, but
right. Well, it's a drastic character, and she really is amazing. So, well, I guess on that note, we'll go ahead and start off with the first question. How did you come across the role of Marguerite Baker for Resident Evil 7?
awesome. My great manager set it up, and what was funny about it, it was very hush hush, and we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I didn't know what actually I was filming for almost 2 years. We were told that it was a video game. We knew that, and we knew we knew the script, but that we weren't told the name. And when I auditioned, I actually auditioned for Mia first. And I went into this huge room, which I later learned is a volume in motion capture. And they were just like, fill the space. And which is unlike any film audition. In a film audition, you're very quiet and you kind of stay in one spot. But they were like, fill the space and go as big as you can.
Huh.
And so, yeah, which was very odd and then I got a call back that day and they were like, hey, will you read for this 60-year-old woman?
Yes.
Cool. Yes, I will.
You initially went in for Mia.
Yes.
How different was your version of Mia's voice? Do you remember how you did her when you tried out for it?
Absolutely not. I don't remember at all.
Okay. Just curious.
No, that's okay. I assume that it would be. I kind of have a strong voice, so and authoritative, and kind of sometimes I have to be told to pull back a little bit and soften it. So I assume that I came in like guns blazing and just kind of like gave it this really aggressive edge.
Which is probably why they said, no, you know what? Maybe you should do Marguerite.
Yeah, probably.
Something else, which was fine with me, and I'm so pleased that that's what happened and what ended up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You did an excellent job as Marguerite, and that was hands down my favorite enemy from the game. So I just wanted to let you know that, I think you did an amazing job as Marguerite, and so does a ton of other people.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. We'll get into the second. What's that?
Oh, I said thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Feels so good.
All right. What was it like doing the full performance capture for the game?
It was really intense. It was my first. I'd done voiceover before, but never full motion capture performance. And what was really nice is we had a couple weeks before we actually started filming that the family got together and we rehearsed and we worked with a vocal coach and we kind of got to know each other for that dinner scene. And we really laid out what was going to happen because there's so many small technical elements to it. And so, also, it's a little tedious because if you are going full out in your performance and one of your motion capture I can't remember what they're called, like little balls fall off, you have to start over from the beginning. So you have to be careful. And it's just it's a different vehicle. You're thinking in a different way because you're thinking about your performance, but then you're also making sure technically you hit all the marks you need to. Right. So it took a little bit to get into that, but now I love it. I would do it every day.
That's awesome.
This is kind of like a new evolution for motion capture, and this is the first time we've seen it go this big on Resident Evil. We've, in the past they would do the motion capture, almost full performance where they're doing to the point of facial features and body movements, but they never gave us the actual actors, your guys' physical appearance. So this is, there's a big thing about Chris Redfield. Spoilers at the end of the game, about it being a new person playing Chris, because this is what the actor that's portraying him actually looks like in real life. So I'm curious, you guys are there in, your suits and everything for it. Did you ever get into character as far as dressing up for the role?
I wish. No, I'm like 30 years younger than she is.
Right.
But which is, I think, because of physical movement, that's kind of where, and I'm sure like a badass 60-year-old lady could have done it too. But there is a lot of, like, when I pull Mia out from under, like we're in that crawl space. Mm-hmm. Like we actually did that. And like I pulled her on a carpet and like pulled her out. And so like that kind of stuff was really physical.
Yeah.
I wish I could dress up like her. It's funny because when I first saw her face, because I would just see really rough cuts when I was doing the voiceover, I sent a picture of that and I like put my face next to it for my mom. And I'm like, I look so beautiful. I was super excited about it. I was like, oh, darling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said the stage you worked on was called the volume for the performance? Yeah. And you were there with the other actors as well, the ones that play Lucas, Jack, and Ethan.
Yes.
And do they all somewhat resemble their characters, or is it completely different as well?
No, I mean, I think bone structure is there that's similar. They do put, they do change our features, but it definitely, it's interesting is when I showed people portions of Marguerite's work, you can see like my own personal little tics in it, which I found so cool. Like just little hand movements that I do, and even if it was in character, that was what was really neat, is seeing like how I walk and how I
on sort of a different body. It's odd to see, but also extremely cool.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because right after Resident Evil, so that's done at House of Moves in Los Angeles. Okay. And then they cast me as Barbie's best friend, Harper. So same editors that edited Resident Evil were like, holy shit, is this Sarah? Because it's for like 17-year-old best friend with blue hair.
Right. They're like, everything you did for Marguerite, don't.
Got it?
Exact opposite.
Moving forward, yes.
That's awesome. Were there any sets that you had worked on when doing the performance capture? I know everything is is it green or gray?
It's gray.
Gray. And was there anything built up to resemble the house at all?
Oh, yeah. And I wish you guys could see it because it's really technical, but if you didn't know that, you'd be like, what is this weird stick with a tennis ball on top of it?
Everything has a purpose.
Oh, yeah. Everything has a purpose, but you have no idea. So beginning of each scene, they kind of walk you through, like, you can't walk over here, Sarah, because you'll be walking through a wall. Like, make sure you don't put your hand here. So that's the part where they're great with it because you get to spend quite a bit of time, like, walking around, and there's TV monitors up so you can kind of see your funny stick figure and, like, where you need to go.
Right.
But it's crazy how it all turns into something so fun and so terrifying when I'm in a room, like a gray room, a stick figure. So
the evolution of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's awesome.
Motion captures really come a long ways because people used to just kind of sit in a big open room and then they'd kind of act it out. But now they're getting so technical with it where you're actually having these sets and you're actually sort of acting as the character, much like using your entire body performance, acting, emotion, all that. So it's got to be a lot of fun to be a part of these, newer games that are coming out that utilize this.
Oh, it's so fun. And there's like facial cameras, and it's just really neat to feel so high tech. I did Jack and I caught each other's face cameras on one time.
Oops.
So we had to be very careful, but
right. Were you doing the voice on the stage as well?
Yes.
Okay, so you were constantly in that deep southern.
Oh
angry.
yeah.
Huh.
Absolutely. And I would come home and I would still like my register would go up, but the southern accent would still be there. It just kind of like sticks with me a little bit. But yeah, we definitely did that, and then we would go to we would just do voiceover in a booth in a studio for the stuff that we can't act out ourselves, like when I turn into a monster or bugs come out from under my skirt.
Such an awesome character.
And that is kind of funny because she was saying about how she went through a wall on the camera. Well, she technically was climbing the walls after she transformed.
She really was.
But Sarah as a person can't do that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. AJ, you want to go ahead and jump on the next one there?
Yep. Were there any changes made to Marguerite's character design since the first time you saw the concept for her?
Not really. It kind of like very small things, but they didn't really show us much. They showed us. She always kind of had, like this adorable plump old lady, and that's kind of how she always was. What was interesting is when I saw her before she changed, because I hadn't really seen that except when I looked it up on the internet. That was interesting because I didn't see her before the change.
Oh, so you never got to see the normal version of Marguerite. You only saw the corrupted evil version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh.
I know, it's crazy.
That's probably
That is
good, though, for your character
Yeah.
performance, because you wanted to kind of get into that. You don't want to see the sweet, old lady beforehand. You want to see the monster that she becomes, so you can kind of fully, get into that character.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, her time as being a normal sweet old lady was very short anyway. So,
Right?
did anything change as far as your performance? Did they say, "Hey, okay, this part you're not evil yet, you're not infected," and then you build into that? Did you change your posture or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. We would do multiple takes because we also didn't know really what the director would want when they finally cut everything together.
Right.
And especially doing the voiceover in the booth, we would have, it was really funny because one of the Capcom guys would come in and there was a lot of translating, but he would give me examples of how loud he would want me to yell because he didn't speak English, but he would just scream, and he'd be like, "This is the intensity," and I would be like, "Okay, I got it," and then he'd be like, "This is the intensity," and it was very sweet and it was so fun. And we didn't speak the same language, but we spoke Resident Evil, so we understood that portion, and we spoke who Marguerite was, which was very fun.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
Well, yeah.
And the Capcom guys in Japan would plan out the scenes, and they would actually video themselves, and we would watch them. And it would be like the four adorable guys playing all the parts, and so we kind of knew what they wanted. But
oh my god!
Funny at-home video shot for us. That was my favorite part too.
Somebody needs to leak that footage.
Yes, I was gonna say I'd love to get a double version of that.
That would be so funny. I bet that was awesome.
Marguerite is an absolutely terrifying antagonist and the favorite enemy of the game for many players. What kind of direction was given to you when portraying her?
Yes, very cool. Well, Naveed, the director, and I talked a lot about Kathy Bates from Misery.
Oh, I was just watching that today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh
yes.
God.
Holy crap.
Last week. So good. But just this idea of someone so unhinged that you don't know when they will snap. It's like the calm before the storm.
Right.
One wrong word could send her into a spiral that would eventually kill you, kind of thing. Right. So we played a lot with slow movements into fast movements because she's not like Jack. She's not this big, terrifying, strong creature. It's more of
kind of becomes
she hunts you. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I know. That's so cool. When I first saw that in the when we were doing VO, they would show me as a monster. I was like, this is so cool. I want to show everyone. But I didn't forever. But just this slow, menacing woman. That's kind of where we started. And then we talked about just horror influences, and Kathy Bates came up a lot. And I watched Misery a couple times because we shoot this over 2-ish years. So, we'll shoot a week and then it'll be 2 or 3 weeks and then we'll come back. So, having to get out of it and then come back into it and revisit this character. She spent 2 years with me.
Yeah.
So I had to drop her off and then pick her back up and that kind of thing. But I would say that was my main influence. And I'm a huge horror movie fan. I remember being a little girl and making my mom take me to Blockbuster, and I would rent it.
Yes.
Stephen King.
Yes.
And oh my God, I'm so excited for the reboot.
I was just going to ask that.
Me too. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
so and I was just a huge, even though Stephen King's the endings of all his films are horrible. I just loved him, and my brother would read them to me out loud because he is a huge avid reader. So I think just my horror movie past and love for it really influenced the character because I know what scares me. So I tried to embody that.
Yeah. Well, you have a very good sense of imagination and fear on that because she is a terrifying character.
Mm-hmm.
it was fun because, so I'm not necessarily a gamer. I love watching people play video games. I like side-scrolling games. Like I could play Donkey Kong Country all day. But like when you get me into a three, right?
It's one of my favorites.
When you get me into a three-year-old, it's hard for me to do it. But I love watching. Like I grew up watching my brother John play video games, from Contra to, the Resident Evil games. So I love video games in that sense, but to play them, it's so scary. Like actually having control over it freaks me out. But I got a lot of messages from friends after their, I just would get a text that would say like, "You were so effing scary," and I was like, oh, "Thank you."
I felt that you had a lot of similarities. Being a horror movie fan, I'm sure you may have seen Evil Dead once or twice. It so much reminds me of a Deadite.
I love also Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yes, I watched it. That? Yes, I love that show. So good. It's funny. It's scary. It's so good.
It's perfect. But yeah, she does have a lot of Deadite in her. I was going to say, I even really liked the Evil Dead remake. It was so meta. Like it when it rained blood, I was like, "This is awesome."
It was well done. I liked it, and I was excited to see that series continue on with the remakes. And even Ash had a small, little teaser cameo at the very end of the credits. If you watch the whole thing, it was just his silhouette, and I think he says "groovy." So they didn't completely, they paid credit to the man who made the role. So
absolutely, and I think all the creators of Evil Dead would like that it keeps evolving and changing, but the core is still there. So,
and, the way Marguerite's character evolves and she becomes, the bug, basically, the queen, I would say, she like her limbs get really long and contorted, and her body, it really resembles a lot of a Deadite. That's why it immediately is like, it felt like there was a flow of characters. You had Jack, who was your basic stalker, like Michael Myers, Jason, just a big brute that could bust you, and walk around through everything. And then Marguerite becomes the Deadite, or, demon form monster. And Lucas was more of a smart Saw playing games with you type person.
Yeah, he's like the harbinger of death. Like right. That's so cool. Yeah. That makes me happy. I'm going to write that down.
There you go.
Life success check. Anyway, continue.
How did you develop her voice?
Well, don't tell my mom. My mom, when she gets mad at me, she gets this really really low, almost gravelly, kind of sultry, mean thing. And then we worked with a vocal coach. So I kind of mixed Mississippi Southern with my mom yelling at me. And that makes Marguerite Baker. There you go.
Definitely do exactly as I was told if that was yelling at me.
Yeah, I was going to say, your mom is scary as hell when she gets mad.
Yes.
My mom is from Minnesota, so her voice is, oh my gosh. So it's not as this deep Southern drawl, but when that lady gets mad, woo, watch out.
Better get right.
Yeah.
Right.
So Capcom, in a sense, gave you a little creative freedom when it came to developing the voice, right?
Absolutely. They were so lovely. And I think they kind of, when we auditioned, they kind of saw what they wanted and chose kind of the people that were going to give them what they wanted. So they just kind of let us expand on what we were already giving. But they were so wonderful to work with. I had the best time.
I like that. It seems like there's a lot of freedom coming from them, towards the actors, respecting what you guys do in your art form and allowing you to really develop these characters into what, make them your own.
Because, we would definitely record what was in the script word perfect, but then, then you'd give us a couple takes of just kind of going. And especially in really heightened situations like that, I think they would want emotion over word perfect, because sometimes if you're trying to remember the lines, you're not going to give them the exact emotion they wanted. And they really wanted us, when we first started and why we rehearsed so much, is they wanted to get it back to the horror that Resident Evil was initially. Wanted this family to seem very real and palpable and really scary and really a family. So that's what I've never really worked on anything that's not a play that I rehearsed so much for, which was awesome because now I'm friends with all these people and we really got to know each other and we really got to break down the scenes. And if something didn't make sense, Naveed, the director, would let us change it. And then it was just really cool. And Capcom was really open to letting us help develop these characters.
That's great.
2 years is a long time. And with everything that you do in that time period, I mean, like your work on Z Nation and your other projects, how was that juggling all those, roles as well as working on this project? This is a big project.
Yeah. Well, funny story. They told everybody what we were working on a day I wasn't there. And then no one told me. And so like 3 weeks later, someone was like, oh my God, Resident Evil, cool, huh? And I was like, what?
Wait, what? What are we doing?
What did they me? Like it was so... Anybody. I'm kind of glad they didn't tell me because I would have been like, call my brother and be like, guess what?
Spill the beans.
That kind of was our reaction too when they released the E3 trailer. So you're not alone.
Yeah, nobody knew what was coming, and then it was something so different from what we've seen before.
Yeah, so cool. What was your question? Oh, how do I? Okay, I don't really stress about it. This is because I signed on to this. It's kind of a priority, but being an actor, surprisingly, some jobs are far and few between. So the schedule worked out. But it's funny because when you're busy, and then there's slow times. But it was nice to have something to always come back to. Right. So this was it was kind of like a dream job. It really kind of mixed all of my favorite things. So
your work in the theater, because you did theater for quite a while before you started doing live films.
Yeah.
How did that carry over? Any skills that you gained from working on, a stage in front of an audience to working on a performance stage for performance, capture?
Oh, 100%. I feel like motion capture is closer to stage than it is to film. It's like a good kind of, it meets in the middle a little bit, but it's understanding, having spatial awareness, understanding where you are, not necessarily having to play to a camera because, when you film like Z Nation, you get one person's, you film one scene from multiple angles. So sometimes you're in the scene, but you're not even on camera. So it's really exhausting. And when you film in a volume and you do motion capture, you have cameras capturing you from all angles and it's capturing everyone. So everyone is being seen in that take. So it's more like theater in the sense everyone. Oh my gosh, did you fall? No, I'm just kidding.
Do you need help? Do you need assistance?
Yes. So yeah, everybody is in that moment getting that one take instead of you waiting for your coverage, kind of. Okay. So yeah, it's a different vehicle.
Interesting.
I could ask while we're still on the subject of the voice, was there any lines you had issues with or any lines that just made you bust up laughing when you had to do them?
Oh, yeah. I don't exactly remember the exact line, but it was something like, just like anything where I had to say the F word a lot or like, I'm fucking kill you, just like that kind of stuff. I wouldn't bust up before, but I would be in the booth and there would be all the lines that I had to read that day and I would just get excited. And they'd always be really, really bad ones or really like hardcore ones at the end. So it was just kind of something to look forward to.
Right, just building until you finally got to get into that part.
Yeah, you got into the weird shit. So.
That is awesome. So, you played Serena, a.k.a. Pie Girl, for quite a few episodes on Z Nation, and she was only supposed to be a one-episode character, but I think quickly became a fan favorite, which brought her back for several more episodes. I'm assuming, right? That's correct?
Yes, that's very correct.
Okay, so what do you think it was about Serena that the fans love so much?
I think she's so weird. And I think that...
That's definitely, she is quite odd.
Yeah, I feel relatable. because at least for me, I feel like a weirdo all the time. Yeah. So and she's this strong, quirky, doesn't care what other people think of her, leads with her heart and what she wants. And she was, for Z Nation, the first character that made the lead character Murphy kind of take a second glance, because he's such an asshole in that show. And here comes this weird girl in overalls that gives him pie, and then kind of just, you get to see a different side of the main character because of Serena. So I think that's kind of why she was so loved. And what was great about, Carl Schaefer and all the people over at Z Nation is they let me help develop this weird, fun, exciting character. And I was told, like, we wrote it really weird because, we knew you could do it. So like, you're going to be like Virgin Mary, and you're going to give birth in a barn, and there's going to be 3 wise men zombies. And I was like, I teared up, and I was like, thank you for letting me fulfill a dream I didn't know I had. And now I wouldn't want it any other way. So,
see, that's what's so great about Z Nation. I mean, The Walking Dead is very serious.
Yes,
it's very serious content, and the comic is even more serious and more graphic than the show. But Z Nation, it became almost, it has its serious moments, but it also became a parody of the whole zombie apocalypse. It was very fun and lighthearted, but also graphic and serious when it needed to be.
Yeah, and they know what zombies are, which I love. Right. And they have like Game of Thrones references, and just like to me, it's the most realistic if there was a zombie apocalypse, how some people would react.
Right, it's very meta.
Because I love The Walking Dead, and I love the zombie genre, and this one was just so silly and definitely something I love, and they're not scared to go there, which I really love. And they're not scared to bring me back many times. Like I came back to Dream Sequence, and they're filming season 4 right now. And I may or may not be in that. So it's exciting.
Nice. That's awesome. It's good to feel the love,
Yeah.
So
I don't know. They kind of won me over after I saw that block of cheese running zombies over.
Oh my God, just show up on set and there's like this huge wheel of cheese. And they actually cut out a big piece of it and like stuck real cheese in there because Doc was supposed to eat cheese. And so it was and it was great because that episode, I got my brother to be a zombie extra. So he was this like tuba playing zombie chasing me down the street. Family affair. It was really lovely.
That's a family business.
Right?
So on the topic of Serena, like we said, she's very strong, quirky, and a little bit crazy. How do you think she would have done in the same situation as Ethan?
I think fairly well. Because I think she might have liked some of the weird shit.
Like kind of join in and be like, all right, let's eat.
Yeah. She'd be into it. The bondage, into it. The like tying up, 100% there. And she's also like Ethan, like fiercely loyal to her family. So I feel that she would fight till the end, like she did in Z Nation.
I could just see her at the table. They're trying to force feed her, and she's like, okay, and whatever she eats, and then afterwards she'd be like, you have any pie?
Yeah. She could make it too. She could just whip one right up.
I could just do it myself. That is awesome. Yeah. I think we need to have a series of like small skits where Marguerite and Serena are at the same table.
Yeah, for sure. Just
and I play both of them.
Right.
It's so funny.
This is a genius idea. Do you think Marguerite and Serena have any similarities at all?
Oh my God, yeah. Like I said, they're both like fierce mama lions.
Yeah.
One is loyal to her bug children, and then the other is loyal to her hybrid zombie baby. So, yeah, I think that they're both grounded in the sense of in this fierce loyalty, and they will do whatever it takes for what they think is right, even though sometimes it's not. They will die for the person that they love. So that's where I think it's very similar.
And they're both a little bit crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely see that. They're definitely very family oriented. So
yes, and complete crazy nutbags.
Yeah, they'd get along really well.
Yes.
Right, so being a zombie fan, have you ever played any of the Resident Evil games or seen anybody play them?
And that's going to give some credit to Gavin J. Porter. He had kind of asked that question in combination with us. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, my like I was saying, I've watched my brother play the games for sure. I still haven't played Resident Evil 7, which is so dumb. Like I should play it, but I've watched my brother play it, and I sent him the game, and I'm a huge fan of the games, but they do scare me. I love horror movies, but playing them is a different thing.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So that's where I stand.
It's easy to watch the main character, in a movie struggle, but when it's you playing the main character, it's like, oh, I'm not ready for this.
Right? I just connect too deeply to things, and it just takes me to a new place. Like horror movies, I will like turn on a Japanese horror and just like slowly go into sleep. But like video games, different story. It's like they give me nightmares.
Not to mention, it makes it worse now that Resident Evil 7 actually has the VR mode.
Oh, yes. Wow, that would be weird.
My good friend was like, I tried to play it VR at night, couldn't do it. Tried to do it during the day with his dog next to him, like with all the lights on. He was like, nope, can't do it.
It's too much.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, man, that's gotta be a weird experience. If you yourself were to do the VR version and seeing you, knowing, your performance that you did, all the work you put into it, but experiencing that, in the, what is the word I'm looking for? Immersion of VR. Yeah. Experiencing your work just front and center right there in your face.
I've got to do it and then tape myself playing, trying to kill myself. So that would be, I'm saying it here now. That's going to happen.
Well, definitely let us know. We'll post it up and share it with everybody and probably watch it 1,000 times.
For sure.
Yes.
So, are there any like dream roles out there that, you being a fan of The Walking Dead and zombies in general and horror movies, if you could pick like a role that you really want to be a part of, what would that be?
Oh, like we were saying, Ash versus Evil Dead would be something I would love to do.
Perfectly too. With the drastic, extreme characters that you play, you would fit perfectly on that show.
It would be the best. I love showrunners and shows that bend the rules.
Right.
That when someone dies, they can come back. When, we're going in and out of reality. And I also am a huge comedy fan. So when you mix those things, like, I think that show is a perfect show. And I also like the horror shows that are out right now. American Horror Story, I think would be a cool one to jump into as well, because the characters are so insane.
Well, then you'd be working with Kathy yourself, so.
I know. That's why I love Sarah Paulson and all that. So if I had to choose, it would be Ash versus Evil Dead, but then also American Horror Story would be incredible.
Both shows I watch. So
yeah, great. Me too.
What I love about Ash is the comedy, the way it's written, the gore, and working with Bruce Campbell or working with Kathy Bates for American Horror Story. Both of those would be incredible.
When in Ash versus Evil Dead, when Bruce Campbell gets stuck in the butt, is the funniest thing. And I yell that all the time. I'm in the butt! It's the funniest thing. I think I cried and then had to rewind and watch it again, because it was a perfect moment for me. I was like, I want to be in the butt.
That's how that show is. It's so over the top. It's so perfect.
Oh, it's so good.
So, are there any upcoming projects that we should be looking for?
Oh, yeah. I did and these aren't horror movies, so it's
okay.
They're still cool. I did a movie called Lane 1974 that premiered at South by Southwest, and it's kind of doing the festival circuit right now, and I think it has a limited release in theaters, and it's going to be on demand or some sort of streaming thing, and it's a really beautiful movie. It's kind of opposite of what I've done for a really long time. It's very toned down, beautiful movie about a little girl in 1974, and it's just, and I play a hippie that drives a bus. It's awesome.
With Marguerite's voice.
Yeah, Marguerite in the early days.
You know, I always bring the voice with me. No.
That is a hell of a voice. So.
And then I did just shot a pilot called Corporately Challenged that we're hoping will premiere on Netflix, but it's a office comedy, kind of like The Office, and I play a weird cat lady. So that gets picked up. But just keep your eyes peeled for those things.
Okay.
Interesting. For sure.
I hope it gets picked up. I watch a lot of Netflix. I'm sure a lot of people do because they have so many great shows. So I hope it gets picked up on there.
That was a really weird image, though.
I know, right? Well, my neighbor, I just went down to my mailbox earlier, and she was returning like a Netflix DVD. I didn't know they still did that. I was
they
like,
still do it.
Yeah.
really, really, really late. Like come on.
Right.
But,
Do you have any stories from making Resident Evil 7? Anything unique that you remember that you want to share with the fans?
well, we almost broke the head cams.
Right, when you locked up with Jack.
And also Mia, with Katie, she knocked hers clean off. It wasn't me, but I watched her like completely break it, and we all froze, and we were like, "Holy shit!"
That's expensive.
Nothing. Let me try. I can't really think of any specific story. I've kind of told them all, but I lost my voice a lot.
Yeah.
And they would have to like reschedule because we would be screaming so much. I just think it was such a fun little family that and we had the best time, and we're all really positive people, and then to like go in and then say the nastiest stuff.
To flip that switch and become evil.
Yeah. So that was really, really fun for me.
It's a really interesting game. It's polarizing with the fans because there are hardcore fans from the original games. There's the mid-core fans that like the action, and then this one, I love them all, but I really like this one a lot because I like being in first person. I like seeing everything front, in my face. I thought all of you were incredible as antagonists. The house was amazing. All the scenes it was so well done. And I have to give you guys, especially you, because Marguerite was, my favorite character as well. Just on the work that you guys did, it was incredible.
Yeah, I have to agree with Ollie. I was very skeptical about Resident Evil 7, as JJ knows.
Yeah.
But I finally picked it up, and I gotta say, Marguerite made that game.
Yes!
She really did.
My arms are up, and I'm patting myself on the back. Yes. Thank you.
She's the only character that actually scared me because there's a part you're going through the garden house and you're going to fight her, the boss fight. When she burst that window and grabs you on the stairs, that's the only part in the game that actually scared me.
Yeah, for sure. It was genuinely terrifying. One of my favorite moments from the game actually was seeing her crawl into that hole and just thinking like, what the hell was that? I know that was
the arm.
Like the really lanky arms.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and with the nest, they definitely weren't holding back. They were going all out in the most disturbing ways, and it was a genuinely terrifying character.
And I gotta say, I think my favorite part with Marguerite was the videotape with Mia when you're running away from her and you actually have to use stealth, and she has the what do you call it, the little oil lamp?
Oh, yeah.
Lantern.
The lantern. Yeah.
That was really, really awesome.
A stick with a weight on it.
That's what that was. Okay, I was wondering what that stick was.
You gotta have that imagination.
Yep.
Well, for me, because I've watched a lot of scenes, and I actually really love watching people play the game because it's really fun. Like when on YouTube and I was surprised actually how scary she was and how much she gave me kind of flashbacks to like The Exorcist.
Oh yes,
and that's
true.
A testament to the game designers and just how creepy and scary that lantern was, just swinging and not really knowing where she was. So yeah, that was very cool to see that as well. So
she had a lot of jump scares. She had a lot of moments where she would catch you off guard, like you open the door and she's there screaming in your face. You go up the stairs, she's there catching you. She probably had more of that than anybody else.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I just wish there was more of her.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
It's unfortunate.
Maybe
Maybe she
Maybe
can
we get some more
return as Bug
somehow.
Lady somehow, some way.
Yeah. See, Bug Lady. I'm down.
Capcom is as it may be true and it may not always be true. We've interviewed quite a few people that have worked on Capcom games, and they've all said they're somewhat, loyal to their actors. Now they're going in a new direction with their full performance capture, but hopefully we'll get you back on for another character that can be just as amazing as Marguerite.
Very true.
Oh yeah, moves where they film that, they're so lovely and loyal to me. They bring me in for everything. So it's
Well, there you go.
very cool. I call for more Marguerite. Damn it.
Oh. Let's just get her in every game, just showing up randomly.
Absolutely, and I love it, and I'm also a horror fan, so I really respect the genre. So I would want to do the best job possible because I think it's important and cool, and
that's great.
It's a privilege. Yeah,
definitely. So we got a few fan questions here. I'm going to jump on the first one because I love his name.
Yes.
Epsilon Church RVB from Red vs. Blue.
Nice.
I love that. That's a nice little tribute to Rooster Teeth there. Wants to know, what was your reaction towards Marguerite when learning about the part? As far as like her evolution and who she was, what she was going to become, how did you react to that?
I thought it was effing awesome. I was
You can swear.
I was. Oh, and I'm not sure. It was fucking awesome.
There you go. There's the Marguerite.
Get it.
And I like how big and crazy she got. It was just privileged to be able to just go there and not be pulled back. They were just go as big as you can and scare as many people as you can, and really improvise these terrifying lines. And I think I like to do character work, so to get to play an older woman and like how that feels in your body, and being this matriarch of this family and kind of who that is. So I was really excited, and I just couldn't wait to get started.
I think we had a question here from Silent Evil 2, but I think that's kind of already been answered.
Oh, has it?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's talking about your inspirations to create such a menacing character, which you said both Kathy Bates as well as other great horror movies. So,
all right,
I guess we can jump on to the next one.
Yeah, we did it.
I'll take Cliff Jumper 3 asks, will you be in any future Resident Evil titles? I kind of got to that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you could answer it if you wanted to.
I don't know yet, but I want to be. That's my answer.
So you're willing.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. I had such a good time, and I get to talk to cool guys like you. So yes, I want to continue on this track forward.
Yes, and you have our vote for that one. If they were ever to ask us, who do we want to return? Sarah's definitely on our list.
For sure.
Hands down.
All right, I guess I'll ask Ray's question here since this one hasn't been asked before. Ray Matson asks, what made you want to play this role?
I think it was definitely a challenge. Yeah. It was something I'd never done before. I'd done voiceover, but not motion capture. Normally I'm in comedies, and to play something scary and dark and deep, and there are moments when we were filming scenes with Evelyn or any of the other characters where we were actually crying and having these beautiful moments, and then jumping into terrifying moments. Right. And so and the other actors too, these are professional badass actors that are really giving 150,000%, and you don't get to see their face because they've put the animation over it. But every day was a challenge, and it was hard, and I like that. I don't like, every once in a while I like going to work and having it be easy, but I like to be tired. Yeah.
2 years too. 2 years is a long time to work on it.
It's a long time. So long. And at one point I was like, is this even a thing?
Yeah, it's actually going to happen, or are we just playing games here?
Yeah, I'm like, I have no clue.
Is this a test?
Yeah, right.
All right, I'll take the next one from Vince Watson. He asked, do you think it's cool being the creepiest thing in the game? And do your friends or family who have played the game look at you any different because of it?
That's a great question.
Yes. My friends are terrified of me now.
So this game ruined your life.
Justified.
Yeah. No, I think it gave me more clout with my gamer friends. Most definitely, they were so excited to see that part of me, and they were so proud, and they were like, "I can't fucking believe that was you!" Like it was just so different than from what you normally play. Because I usually, my MO is like a quirky, weird, like I'm the best friend of the lead person. Like that's kind of like where I sit. So it was just this different, and to get to interact with me, they absolutely loved, which was really fun. So I was really proud of that. And I love that you say I'm the creepiest part, because that's what I was going for. I just wanted to be creepy as hell. So
nailed it.
Definitely.
Nailed it.
Do you ever mess with them, like prank call them?
I
would do that all the time. If they knew that voice and they knew it was you, I would do it all the time.
Absolutely. I'm gonna prank call someone right after this.
All day. Just film it, put it on YouTube. It'll be huge. Until Capcom's like, "Hey, can you please not do that?"
Stop. So we have another question here from Maddie Delforge, who is a good friend of the channel. She works with AJ and Tony on another page as well, right, AJ?
Yep.
She always has these great questions. Hers is, what dish would you make for Marguerite, and what dish would you not want made by Marguerite?
I'm really getting into making zoodles. They're zucchini noodles.
Okay.
Maybe it's just an LA thing. I don't know. But I got a zoodler. Maybe, you know what? It's actually the name. I don't even care. I just like the zoodle. So I make it replaces pasta, and then you put a bunch of meat and sauce and then the zoodles, and it's apparently a healthier version of pasta. Look it up. It's great.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to look into that.
Would it be a little sweet? A little sweeter than pasta?
I fry it up a little bit, it doesn't really even have that much flavor. But it tricks my brain into saying, you're eating delicious pasta, but I'm really eating vegetables.
Right, it's healthy.
So that's what I would make Marguerite. And I would not want her to make me anything.
I was about to say,
I'm good, thank you.
Whatever stew she plops down in front of Ethan is like the grossest.
Yeah, it's like intestines or something. I don't know what was in there. And then her cockroaches are constantly coming out of her dress.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Like, could you not put your bugs in the soup?
A friend called me and he was like, "I know how to kill you. We just have to shoot you in the vagina."
That's kind of what you have to do,
Sadly, that's actually true.
Like, awesome. Cool. Those words I've always wanted to hear.
A bottle of Raid.
Bottle of Raid.
Or Raid in the vagina, and you're good to go.
That's actually the last of the fan questions, but I have my own question. Would you be able to do any lines for us?
Yeah, what do you want?
What's your favorite one?
Well, we got to get that the door one. What was it? Stay the fuck out, or
what is it? And then I'll say it. I'm trying to think of what they were.
Get the line, AJ.
Yeah.
Let me grab it quick.
Yeah, grab it, and I'll say whatever you want me to say. My windows are also open, so my neighbors will be like.
Well, AJ's looking that up. Let me get one more question off of Twitter here. This comes from Sara. To Sara. Sarah wants to know if you watched the new Wonder Woman and what your feelings are regarding the feminist themes in it and what you feel that means for women in showbiz.
Greatest question ever, Sarah. Also the greatest name. I loved Wonder Woman. I saw it twice. I sobbed. My friend was saying, like, she posted this awesome picture and she was like, I don't need a knight in shine. I'm not looking for a knight in shining armor. I'm looking for a sword. And I think that's so cool for women to have this hero to look up to and not always looking up to princesses. And especially in Wonder Woman, when she still liked ice cream and cooing at babies, but then she also like burst through windows and kicked ass.
Yes.
So
it
was this way to say that we can, as women, still be feminine, but still be badass as fuck.
Right.
And so it was just, to me, it inspired me so much, and I want to live on the Mascara. Like, that's where I want to go. Sometimes when I'm hiking, I'll say like, I'm Sarah Coates from the Mascara. You can do this. Make it to the top. But it was such an inspiring movie, and I'm so glad, and I hope that it allows Hollywood and future films to say like, this is marketable, this is profitable. Let's show little girls and women that we don't have to be secondary characters because we're not.
For sure. And
you don't have the damsel in distress.
Exactly. And that's one thing Resident Evil, the series, has done, for years now, is they've had strong female characters in the games ever since the first game.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's what, sorry. A lot of video games.
You okay?
Yeah,
did you fall this time?
There we go. Is everyone okay?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. I was looking up Marguerite lines on a page, and then something opened up, and then started like. But
I actually just got an IMDb page with them.
Yes, there we go. Just because I like this one's really beautiful. Fucking shitcock, show yourself.
Oh, that one. That's
there it is. That's it.
What I'm looking for.
Can we please get that?
Yeah. Fucking shitcock, show yourself.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna add that to the intro.
That should be the closer. Have a nice day.
No, the closer should be the stay the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
Stay the fuck out of here! Like crazy stuff. It's just,
man.
It's so
it's so scary.
It's so angry.
She's so angry, but you know what, guys? It's deep in me, that anger.
It comes out in Marguerite.
Yes.
I should have my own like self-help, because if you just yell these lines out, you're gonna feel so much better later.
Man, you don't realize how messed up Marguerite is until you read these out loud. Like, here's one that says, "I'm gonna feed you to my babies, and your remains will fertilize the garden."
Oh yeah, those were hard because I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
We'd be like, I'm going to feed you to my babies and your remains will fertilize the garden. Like stuff like that.
Such an awesome character. I could just picture your neighbor, like, kind of peeking in your window and seeing you sit there and just doing two different voices and be like, oh my God, she might need help.
I didn't hear them walking behind me, but I do weird stuff all the time. Here's another one. Try and get away from my babies, you cocksucker.
Yes. So angry, so vulgar.
It's funny because I blacked out. I don't remember saying a lot of these, but I know I did.
Well, a lot of these lines are actually used during the boss fight with her. Yeah. So you're supposed to be mad with her, but when you're hearing her say stuff like that, it's like, how can you not bust up laughing?
Well, it's my God, comedic lines, but in the context of the game, it's horrifying. It's like, oh my God, it's absolutely mental.
Now, were these the ones that you pretty much improvised?
Oh yeah, a lot of them are improvised.
Okay.
She's saying like mom kind of lines, like, "Oh, bless your heart," that kind of thing. But then she's saying like, "And then I'm gonna kill you and
she ends up
eat your brains," that kind of stuff. So
well, you gotta agree. Margaret did teach everybody: if an old Southern woman offers you food, you do not say no.
You eat it.
Yes, don't say no. Be respectful.
Yeah,
and eat your dinner.
Can't be as bad as what happens when she gets pissed.
That's awesome.
That's so funny.
She's such a great character. And thank you, Sarah. You've been wonderful. We've had a blast.
I had a great time. Thank you, guys.
So we'll have you back on here again soon. Keeping an eye on things you're doing. Hopefully when we see you back on Z Nation, maybe.
Winkety wink, wink.
Winkety wink.
Maybe around episode 6? I don't know.
We can always do another just discussion about our horror influences type.
Oh God, please. Oh please. I did the first horror movie I ever did was by my friend Steve Lang, and it was maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, and it's a comedic horror movie called Junk Bucket.
Junk Buns, yeah.
Bucket! And it's about a guy who has a dick for a nose that wears a bucket on his head.
Oh, goodness.
Junk Bucket, and it's called Family That Severs Parts, Never Part.
Wow.
That was one of the best experiences because it was all improv comedians from Seattle, where I used to live, and we all kind of got together and did this insane, crazy, weird cult movie. Oh, it's good. I'd revisit it every once in a while because it's my beginnings, you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
My film beginnings.
Definitely check that out.
Way it all started. Junk bucket.
Yes, right.
Awesome.
Very
I'm gonna go look for that now because it's piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good and also very bad and so funny and weird, and it's just you were seeing like Seattle's best talent doing the most ridiculous shit.
That's the best.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have. And is there anything else you'd like to put out to the fans?
Well, you can follow me on any form of social media. I'm really active on Instagram, and I think it's I was like, what is my name? It's at Scotsy, SCOATESY, and lots of pictures of my dog on there, Reuben Wrinkles, and then I'm on Twitter at SL Coates. And I love chatting with people about, their favorite horror movies or Resident Evil. So just, tweet at me and I'd love to respond.
Definitely.
Yay.
This has been a blast. I'm so glad we had you on here. This has been a lot of fun.
It really has
Cool. Yeah, keep in touch, you guys.
been. Yeah. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and a final note, thank you so much for everything you brought to Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. That game was a hard sell, I think, because of the direction it took. And it's still difficult for a lot of people to give it a try. But I think if they do, they'll appreciate all the work that went into it. And Marguerite was incredible.
Cool. Thank you, guys. It was my pleasure.
All right.
All right. Bye.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Well, that concludes the show for today. I want to give a huge thank you to Sara for coming on. She was a great guest and a lot of fun to talk to. If you enjoyed this episode of the Residents of Evil podcast, don't forget to drop a like, and for more podcasts, giveaways, and news, make sure to subscribe. The Residents of Evil podcast is a Patreon-supported show. If you would like to help out by chipping in $1 or $2 a month, you can unlock some cool perks for doing so. Check out these perks and more over at patreon.com/ROE Network. That's ROE Network. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram to find out who our next guest will be before anyone else at ROE Network. Thanks as always for watching, and I hope to see you back at the Residents of Evil.